Hello and welcome. This is Invencia, and we're looking forward to the final today. And I'm not sure how many people are going to be joining. This is 2 a.m. Central European Summer Time, and it's on the night towards a Wednesday. But we were supposed to finish this tournament on the weekend. We ran out of time, so lessons learned there. We're definitely going to try to organize it so everything fits, especially we want the finals to take place so we can prepare the streams well ahead of time. But now it's important that we get this out so we can report the results and award those players that have placed good in this tournament. And any finalist will also get a role in the Discord. So I'm going to be hosting this one on my own today. Unfortunately, Basantos is headed for vacation, and I'll be going on a summer vacation very soon too. We're still going to be dropping it into the Discord, and drop an announcement tomorrow as well, what to expect while we're gone. And Michael Frost, who was co-hosting the stream yesterday to do the match leading up to this one, we had Animorph playing against Useless yesterday. Very exciting match, and he was swinging back and forth for a little bit there. So if you haven't seen that one, you might want to check that one out. So I'm just going to give a few people a moment to drop in, but I think most of the viewers will be watching this on a video on demand. But I'm going to try to stay a little bit up to date as well with the chat. So have a look at that as we're playing this one. And hopefully you'll put up with me being on my own. So Michael has a better knowledge about actually the leaderboard stats and everything. So I'm so busy trying to develop the game and organizing the tournament that I've fell a little bit behind on looking at the statistics and who's where in the leaderboard. So right, thanks, welcome, and we've got a few people dropping in here into the chat. Thanks for the well wishes, D20, about the holidays. Going to be nice. We've been working on the game for 3 years, pretty much straight now. So it's going to be nice to spend some time a little bit with Midsummer here in Sweden. So we'll see you guys in the Discord, of course, anyway. And Soda Quacker's dropping in too, and let's get started. First, I'm just going to do a little screen share so you know how we came to this. If you haven't seen before, we always wanted Line War to be a tournament or an esport game eventually. And esports is a little bit, of course, we're not going to go full on esports straight away. But the game was designed to be played competitively. And it's a PvP game and 1v1 at the moment. So it was we really wanted to get this first tournament in now before the summer. And we're hoping to host these every quarter. So 22 is the year, of course, and Q2 is the Q2 final. Or not the final, but the tournament. So we'll have a fresh reset every quarter of the leaderboard, but the all-time leaderboard will be there, of course, too. And then we're going to invite players at the end of the quarter. So starting from the top down, we're going to invite people. So we're learning as we go now, but we've had this over 130 matches, I think, we've played since Saturday. And you can look on the wiki.linewar.com/wiki/tournaments, or just go to the main page and it's down on the left side here. And you can find more details about how the rules were and how the matchmaking worked and everything. And the prizes, this one... Eventually we want to do some monetary prizes, but at this point, because it's quite tricky to do everything legally correct when it comes to monetizing any prize money. Plus it's maybe encouraging cheating a little bit more. And in Sweden, for example, when you have a company that's paying out prize money, you have to treat winners like employees, and it's a lot of admin stuff. So this is more of a prestigious tournament to begin with. But what we can do is award the first place, and we're going to decide that today in the stream. It's going to be entitled the Tournament Champion role in the Discord with a little trophy icon. And we'll be also getting 10 Line War Steam keys to hand out to friends and family. And second place gets the Tournament Silver role, 5 Line War Steam keys, and the third place gets the Bronze role, 2 Steam keys to hand out, and then we've got all the finalists will get a Discord role too. And a quick recap as well, maybe before we get going, and that is that we had the group stage first, and every group we had 8 groups, 4 players in each group, and we had, I think, a span from skill level 41, which was the top tier with Orbnet, and someone said my nickname sucked, or sucks. I guess it still does. It's a long one anyway. So we had 8 groups with 4 participants or 4 players in each group, and I think we had people all the way into the early 20s, I think, skill level, and maybe rank 1,000 or so. And it was quite interesting to see that during the group play, we could see that the rankings in the leaderboard seems to be very accurate. We had some outliers or some discrepancies, but not that many. So nearly all of it, it was really interesting to see that we had clean sweeps, I think, in every group. So the top players, we could just give them a little bit of credit here. Orbnet won Group H. In Useless won Group B, and he's the one who is playing Animorph. And then we had Animorph in Group C, sweeping that one. We had the Group D, it was Electricity. And Group E, we had Valleythor. And Valleythor actually knocked out Animorph out of the winner's bracket. But then Animorph fought his way back through the loser's bracket, so very exciting. And then in Group F, we had Hako doing a clean sweep. And in Group G, we had Athena. So watched a few games from him. Spectacular match against, someone said my nickname sucks. And then we had, I can never say this name, Irum something. We called it the Viking because it's got some runes here. Clean sweep in Group H. So nice to see that. And then the following day on the Sunday, we headed into the final stage. And in the finals, we had very exciting matches here. And Orbnet, you can see he's climbed. It's like a stairwell. So winning every match, still undefeated all the way into this final that we're going to watch right now. Whereas Animorph first won over Collier and then got knocked out by Valleythor and ended up in a loser's bracket here for a second chance. And then won against, knocked out number 2 here in our leaderboard. Someone said my nickname sucks, or I should say number 3, but we have some passive players in the leaderboard too. So out of the active players at least. And then won over Crazy Flying Chicken, won over Hawk, and won over Useless. So that leads us up to, I'm not going to look at the leaderboard right now because I don't want to see any hints at all. I have no clue who's won this, and I'm going to start up the replays now. So let's have a look. And see if anyone's in the chat here. So, oh yeah, if that guy's still wondering if someone can buy him Line War, maybe someone can spare him one of the copies there. Who knows? All right. So I'm going to load up, before I switch the screen, I'm going to load up the replay. So how it works as well, I should mention as well, it's if Orbnet wins then it's only one match because then he would automatically win because he only needs the one win. Whereas if Animorph wins, then basically that knocks out Orbnet down to the losers brackets, and then Orbnet is sent back. So that's why they have to play 2 matches if Animorph wins the first one. And I'm going to load up the first one here. I'm going to make sure I get the correct stuff here. So we've got, here we go. And then I'm going to switch my screen so you guys can see it. And welcome, guys, to the Line War final. And it's not best of 3. It's, as I just tried to mention there, it's if Orbnet wins, he only needs to win once, and that's the win. And if Animorph wins, he needs to win twice, because basically it sends Orbnet back into the loser's bracket and straight back up into the final. So Animorph needs to win twice. So let's have a look at a very different seed here. We picked this one especially for the final because it has so much weird stuff going on. Some internal trade routes, quite a compact map here. We should see instant actions, a little bit of a southbound trade route here as well. We've got Animorph playing blue and Orbnet is in red. Straight away they get a no pick here, and it's not a total surprise. Anywhere along this side here would have probably been a good pick because you want to be having the ability to either go south or north. So we're going to have a look here what I've got. It's Orbnet and Animorph. And Animorph is opting for just south of the no-pick zone here. And we're going to see straight, I guess this is not really a huge land map favoring a lot of expansion and artillery blobs. So we could see some quick action here going on, and we're still getting no-pick. Both players are really favoring this region here, and understandably so. Let's have a look at the energy. We've got a couple of energy wells up here. We've got one here, one here. They're all fairly safe. This one's reachable from the sea. We've got a little bonus island here with a city and 3 industries that come along with it, and an energy well. And then we've got some seabound energy and this one too. Not sure if anyone's ever going to make it out here. I think the main battle is going to be on the mainland here. Anything that you could grab out here would just be a pure bonus, I think. And we're still in the picking phase here. Animorph in blue and Orbnet in red. They're thinking now. Are they going to go for... So often when we see this, where we get the no-pick zone, it often ends up anyway that they'll start either on either side of this no-pick zone. And we're not going to go east-west here, of course, because there's water there. So we'll see if that happens, or if someone's opting to go maybe somewhere totally different. That's quite rare that happens. So Orbnet is still wanting to start here, and the picks started. We've got a successful pick, and let's look straight away here. Orbnet, ooh, okay, so we're not having one on each side here, and let's see who's going to get most surprise here. And we've got Animorph is already outnumbered here right at the start. Orbnet has got all of his units consolidated here. He's going for a bit of an expansion. We've got a couple of factories straight, and they're starting to produce artillery right up off the bat here. And we've got an encounter already, and this is going to be a very tricky start already, because Orbnet has got a surround already. and Animorph has put up a couple of factories too, and they're going to be in deep trouble straight away, because we've got this is going to take a while to produce any aircraft here. Got an airport up here in the mountains. We've got a hidden barrack here to produce some units. But I think we're going to see a super fast... Would this go down as the quickest game in the tournament or something? We're having... Orbnet is pushing in with infantry already knocking at the door. We're having a barrack that's not even finished. And we're seeing it going up in smoke already. It's not even in the construction phase here. And we're going for one artillery and one SAM here. And it blew up straight away. Okay, this could be finished before it even started. So a bit of a shocker there. If this is, I mean, we shouldn't maybe jump to a conclusion straight away, but I think we're gonna have to. Because this was very unexpected that it would go down. Animorph has already lost 2 producers, a barrack and a factory went down. And he's still outnumbering Animorph here with all those infantry there. So it's not much Animorph can do at this point. He can try to capture over here. And I think if Orbnet has got any SAM here, no, but he's got an airport on his own. We've got artillery pieces coming down. So Animorph is managing to launch a helicopter, but I'm not sure if that's going to do any good at all. We're still seeing the outnumbered, totally surrounding that factory now. So any stealth or anything like that is not going to make any difference. Still trying to do some capturing. And Orbnet has not lost hardly a single unit. And there goes the factory. So a very punch in the face, I guess you could call it, from Orbnet there. And just aiming straight for the teeth there. And we're going to get some capturing over here. So we see that sometimes in games that when you do get a close start. And especially, I mean, I guess the nerves are at play as well. And it's easy to just panic place down some buildings, especially when you got those prefabricated ones. And I think it'll be interesting. So I'll have to watch the replay once more afterwards, because I'm not sure if how fast, if Animorph was fully aware the threat that he was under as he placed those buildings down. So maybe it was just a gut instinct to try everything. Those buildings, if they would have been constructed over here instead, it would have been a totally different story. I think the arc that Orbnet already had could have been a little bit problematic, but at least it's a little bit further to go, and it would have been not a totally defenseless situation that Animorph really ended up in here now. Let's have a look. Still getting some capturing here, and the damage is done. We've got 332 here for Orbnet. And Animorph is at 344, so but it's not going to make any difference, even if they're neck on neck. The army value, like we like to talk about sometimes, it's totally different. So it's sometimes you can maybe withdraw a little bit on a different map. It could have been a different story. And played a recent match against Basantos where I lost all my starting structures nearly, except maybe one. And I thought I was out for the count. I managed to turn it around in the end. But it's rare, and I'd say that it's pretty much impossible to do it at this point, especially against someone like Orbnet. And I think this situation for any player under any circumstances nearly would be a totally devastating start. So that was okay. I barely even got my mic warmed up here before this one is finishing. But let's see what happens at the very end. Orbnet OP, I'm looking at the chat here, please nerf. I think it was, I mean, it was the circumstances that just happened there. I wouldn't have been totally shocked if it wouldn't have even been flipped roles. We haven't seen any of the matches that we've covered earlier. We haven't really seen this quick of a elimination. So I can imagine the frustration going through Animorph, fighting his way all the way through the tournament, going down into the losers bracket, coming back up into the glorious final here, and then there we go. End of match reached. So nuke him, yeah, that would have been a good. Imagine if there was an emergency nuke here, a panic button. So I guess GG, fastest final in the Line War history. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully this is a lesson learned as well for future tournaments here. so yeah, interesting. I do have something else in store because I'm just going to look through. Let's see. Let's go back into here. This means that the official winner here is in fact Orbnet, and it was done in 8 minutes. It's very rare that matches end that fast, especially since we had the no pick. Sometimes you get spread out, at least you get the buffer zone north and south. So I'm not quite sure what was going through Animorphs and Orbnet's minds right as we kicked it off there. But I do. I had a bleep in my Discord, and there are another match. So the winner is the rules are that Orbnet is the official winner now of the Line War tournament. He only needed to win once, so he stepped through the whole tournament undefeated. Very well deserved win, and especially the whole tournament, he's been pretty much flawless, walking through opponent after opponent. But I will load up a different replays because I just saw that they've sent me another one. And so I'm going to load up the second one. Maybe they felt that it got a little bit anticlimactic. So let's bring up another replay. So we've got the same map, and we've got Animorph in blue again and Orbnet in red. So this is purely for the entertainment of the stream. So the winner is crowned. Orbnet is the winner of the Line War tournament. So congratulations to Orbnet, and congratulations to Animorph as well for making it so far. But let's have a look at this one. Still a match here to go because they decided to play again. So we've got Animorph in blue again and Orbnet in red. We're seeing a very similar start picking here. They're denying this zone. I think it's the energy and maybe the this choke that they feel like they'll be able to push through. Personally, I wouldn't have been. I'm not so 100% set that I would definitely go for this. I feel this region is strong, and we've got a very similar start here, in fact. So Orbnet is still going to the north side. He's going for expansion instead, whereas Animorph is also doing very similar, but hopefully we're not going to see a repeat of the same type of a start that we just saw before. But we are having double factories going down, starting to produce one SAM here in the south one and artillery in the north. And already Orbnet is again outnumbering Animorph's unit here. So you don't really want to have one guy fighting four guys. And here at least we've got 3 versus 3 or 2 versus 3 now, because there was 4 Orbnet red player or infantry there first. So I think move commands here initially would have been a stronger move to pull them back. You don't really want to lose, get outnumbered so early. So a very similar start here. We've got Animorph has got similar structure set up with a defensive airport over here. Another barrack for, I guess, maybe some quicker capping, but this is already nearly captured. Or conquered is the official term in Line War that we use, even though most people refer to it as capping. So we've got artillery now in... This is good, because Animorph managed to produce artillery that can shoot over these guys and start scoring some damage here on Orbnet's infantry. And let's have a look at Orbnet. It's also a very similar build order. We've got 3 factories start here with 1 barrack. We've got there's more territories for Orbnet to capture up here, so I'd say that it's strategically the Orbnet's position here is really good. He's hiding the producers in the forest, always a good thing, and especially if you are managing to do that with your pre-constructed early start structures. He's already got an airport producing a helicopter, and this is also a very common thing where you stretch back into your a bit of a distant capture zone here, and then you produce a barrack there that can just accelerate this. And Orbnet has already scattered his conquer commands here, so these will do their own job now, and we're seeing some movement out of the mountains. And he has only a read on a single factory, so he doesn't really know about Orbnet's structures yet. And Animorph has no read at all on Orbnet. He only saw where he started Orbnet, and he only saw those initial conquerors that he managed to defeat in the end. So he doesn't have any clue, but there we go. He's getting a visual on the first airport, and he can see that units are moving out of the forest and the mountain zone here. And that's a telltale or a sign that we're going to have some producers. Very common to do that these days. You want to leverage even if you can sort of guess that there are producers there, the strength is that you don't know how many. But these days it's so common to put them there, so you can expect if you don't see much else, then there's going to be a lot in there. So it shouldn't come maybe as a surprise. Animorph is going for a helicopter already. He hasn't revealed any of his air units yet. He's got the first well coming up there, and he's got a transport jet. Interesting. So let's see where he's sending this guy. He's sending a single commando, and we'll follow that aircraft to see where the transport jet is heading. We see a drop command up here, actually hiding in the forest. So, and I don't think Orbnet sees anything. The issue with capturing, especially if you only have one, unless we missed one of the commandos going in, it's that it's going to take a while to capture this. So by the time it's captured and you create a producer there, it could be too late. But there's a long way to go for Orbnet's infantry here, and they have to cross the mountains and also the forest, which slows them down. So we're seeing a bit of a standoff coming up. Orbnet wants to send a couple of helicopters across the sea here. Maybe he wants to scout if there's any shipyards, and he wants to see. Here's another forest region, so he wants to make sure he knows that he's got a visual on anything that Animorph is producing. And we're seeing a standoff. And again, we've seen many of these. We're coming up with a balance change for the game that's going to be introduced after this tournament, where we're going to see some changes to the infantry speed, for example, and also some defenders' advantage when it comes to bonuses. We didn't want to make any changes during the tournament. That would have been unfair. So maybe we'll see a slight difference on how artillery is played in the future. Let's have a look back. Animorph is finished capturing most. He did actually drop 2 commandos up here, so I just missed it in the replay. One had already boarded. And he's producing another helicopter, and I wouldn't be surprised if he stops producing transport jets. A common mistake is that you just leave to stop. You keep producing transport jet after transport jet. And usually you don't have enough commandos to fill those, so you might want to just create this one and reuse it. So we've got a standoff here, and it's a classic one we've seen. This is good, but they're not on a defensive position, so they're not getting a defensive bonus, and Orbnet is outnumbering Animorph here. And I've actually seen excellent play. The way Orbnet is handling his... he seems to be really, really strong at his artillery management. Let's have a look at the type of a command. He's withdrawing them with a move command now, so he feels that the infantry is drawing a lot of the fire. So the strength here from Animorph actually came out. He managed to divert some of the artillery fire onto the infantry, so his artillery didn't take as much of a hit. So Animorph is pushing back, And let's have a look at the unit count. A good move by Orbnet to go back here, because he shouldn't really keep fighting. If he lost those units, he needs to regroup, send them back into the starting area here where his producers are. And we've got Orbnet has got no energy. He's down to his last fumes here. His helicopters are forced to land. They're puffing smoke, and he has not built anything yet. I don't know if he's forgot about it or if he's opted to prioritize something else, but he's got his hands full now. So I think that's going to be the least of his worries right now. He needs to, again, make sure that he doesn't lose too much of his units now, because Orbnet or Animorph is deciding to pull back, because that was all the units he had. So it's going to be another standoff here. It's going to be very tactical to go a little tug of war, much closer than we used to. Usually the distance is a little bit further. And the benefit here from Animorph is that he's got a saturated or a fully loaded refinery here. So he can use the helicopters, although this helicopter pilot is doing a very, should I say, stupid or a gutsy move. I don't know what you want to call it, but that was the end of his career, because he just landed right on the border there. If you're wondering why that is happening, it's if you control a territory, a helicopter, unless it's damaged enough that it returns to an airport, it's going to find a landing spot in a territory that you control, and you don't control exactly where that is. So often the enemy can capitalize on that by having SAM towards the edge. Usually you want to keep your SAM units behind the line, but sometimes it could be good to have them forward, because when they do land, they can take out some grounded helicopters. Let's have a look. We've got a barracks, not a totally surprising move here. It's always good as well to put them in the forest that's hidden. He's capturing with the original commandos that he's got. And he's sending another one to drop in this forest zone. It could be, it's going to be in clear visible sight. So I think it's still a good move, because then it's going to be a little annoying, or nuisance, or whatever you call it, annoyance down here. So you're going to see this starting to go a little bit blue stripe now, which means that he's going to have to send something down here. Either he can send his helicopter if he could get some energy. He's actually getting this refinery being built now, finally. So he's going to be able to operate his helicopters again. And meanwhile, he's actually produced a couple more helicopters, with a third one coming off the pad right there. So here we go. We're seeing some change into the Conqueror status here. So, but he's going to have the energy. These helicopters, though, they don't really have that great sight. And the commandos in forest they're hiding. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see here. How many helicopters are coming down. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We had one puffing smoke because it's not generated enough. It's not getting the clearance to take off just yet. So let's see. I don't think these are necessarily going to be able to spot them when they're hiding in the forest. They're circling and they're having a very narrow sight bonus there. And even with the accumulation for helicopters, I don't think they're going to spot those. Obviously he knows that they're there. That's why he sent them there. He can see the Conquer status. But there, the territory went into the possession of the Animorph there. And the helicopters were unable to spot these two. Plus they were actually down even in the south region there. So we've got Orbnet has produced a shipyard. Very interesting. So he's going to be able to start capitalizing on the energy. Not just the energy, but also the economy that's out here. Very good move to capture these. He's producing a cruiser now to try to capture this as soon as possible. And we've got a battle on our hands right here. Center stage. He's coming back with some units to try to capture these. He still wants the helicopters to try to do it. But this cruiser is going to suck a lot of the energy now too. We've got the helicopters there. They're getting a visual. They're right up on. So he's going to lose these. But they served a bit of a purpose because he had to divert units and energy and helicopters. All his air units went down here to deal with this. And he's not out of... I was going to say he's not out of the woods yet, but he's dead in the woods, I guess. No, he's still got one there. So if he comes in now with an infantry and he sends his helicopter somewhere else, this is going to stay in Animorph's possession. Let's have a look in the north here. We've got Animorph. He's got a few passive units up here. You'd want to try to have them not costing upkeep, but I understand why. There's no shipyard here. There's nowhere to do with these units so they can defend a little bit. And he's capturing these northern territories here. He's got more units to be produced, and it's from Orbnet's perspective, it's only a few infantry here, so he's going to get outnumbered, and it's going to go into Animorph's possession up here in the north. And there's only this single barrack here, so the production-wise, they're about the same. Plus, Orbnet is actually sending units over now, so he's going to drop his unit count up there. And Orbnet is also struggling right at his home base here. Animorph is losing most of his artillery, that's at the front line. But don't underestimate the power of these SAMs, especially if the opponent doesn't have that many artillery pieces, because the SAM reaches further than infantry does, so they can actually do serious damage. And this, if you're outnumbering the SAM there, that's good as well. Let's have a look at the economy. We've got Orbnet is at 680 and Animorph is at 548. So Orbnet is still ahead at the economy, but I'd give this a favor to, I think the favor right as it is now, I would put it to Animorph, because he's gonna probably win this and buy himself some time and maybe capture about 3-4 territories out here and reduce the economy a little bit of Orbnet. He's the aggressor and he's pushing out of the mountains here towards Orbnet, which is pretty strong. He's got some defense against those helicopters. He's got 5 SAM, another one on the go. He's pushing out with the artillery and he's starting to get a bit of a read. And Orbnet is actually pushing up. Oh, he's doing a massive push now with the helicopters now. He's gathered enough energy. And let's see, these SAM will fire everything that they've got. He's even got a couple of helicopters on his own joining the fight. They've got a couple of Sidewinders that will be launching at the air units, but they're a little bit too far away. So we're gonna get to Orbnet is losing most of his helicopters. He's got 4 SAMs now versus 3 helicopters. We've got that Vulcan cannon just ripping off a lot of ammo. And actually, this turned out to be I'd say a good trade for Orbnet, because he did manage to keep 3 helicopters alive. It saved that push, it prevented it from reaching all the way, and Animorph is having to retreat now. We've got a couple of move commands going up right there, but also at the same time, we're getting Animorph is conquering a little bit down here, but they're without air protection, so Orbnet could send down his helicopters. And this could become an issue now, because when there's not that many land territories to conquer, the sea territories could make a significant difference, and especially there's also some here on the west side, but we're not seeing any indication yet that Animorph wants to prioritize those, and understandably so. You have to win the main, especially that's when we looked at the previous final leading up to this one, not the previous match, but when Animorph played Useless. It was very interesting to see. You want to make sure that you do not lose sight of the main battle on the mainland. Let's have another look at the economy. We've got 572 for Animorph and 752 for Orbnet. So it's starting to pay off now. He's conquering here, and he's going to be able to ship these units back to join the fight, which he's going to need. He needs to pay attention to that as well, because otherwise he'll get a little bit outnumbered here, and he'd have to send some helicopters up. The strength for Orbnet is that he can send helicopters up because there's no anti-air up here, and I don't think Animorph has got any plans yet. He doesn't have the economy yet to build anything, and this is going to be an important battle too. And I was given a slight favor to Animorph in terms of outnumbering here, but the way this battle plays out is going to be very interesting to see who's coming out on top, because they're fairly evenly matched now, and Animorph has got no way to get these reinforcements sent across. All right, we're still having the tug of war here on the core of this mainland here, and it's swung back to Orbnet. Orbnet is lining up his artillery pieces. He's coming out of the woods with more pieces. He's got a lot of producers now. He's got 5 factories pumping out mostly artillery, but also a few SAMs. He's got 3 barracks. He's producing some artillery up here now, and I think that's a strong. He's got the economy to back this up now, so that's going to actually swing massively in Orbnet's favor up here in the north now. He's shipping some helicopters up, and as we spoke about, there's no anti-air stuff up here. So artillery, 2 barracks, reinforcements coming from this island, possibly helicopters. It's going to swing back into Orbnet's possession. And again, I don't think we see any signs here that Animorph is trying to move off this. And I don't think we've got any movement down to the south here. But these capturing, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 territories, 5 coming up here, 6, 7, 8. And now we're seeing Orbnet is advancing his units now. And I'd say these commandos from Animorph, it's difficult to know what to do with them. Even if he tried to ship them back to the airport here and drop them, there's not many places he could drop them. He's already done the micro drop down here, and maybe he would need to get a read on Orbnet's producers and drop them straight on a producer. But he doesn't actually have the transport jets anymore to do so. So it must have gotten shot down by Sam, and he's not producing any more ones. So interesting difference in tactics here. We've got point commands with haste, which you want to be careful about. That could have been a mistake, maybe just leaving them on haste, because they get a little bit of fatigue when they move on haste. But very different strategies. We've got point commands favored by Animorph, and Orbnet is opting for a defense line now, and he's resupplying. He's got some hidden troops here in the forest, which is nice to be able to hide some of those units to throw the count off a little bit for Animorph. We've got some advancement by Animorph from the south. Mostly it's a bit of a 50-50 mix here between infantry and commandos. This commando is on engage command, so he's going to run in, but he spotted the accumulated sight from Orbnet's units here is enough to fire him out. And I think, let's say, here we go. Here's the return shipment, return to sender. And they've done a good job here. He's got some industries here. So the return on investments on industries is the quickest. They're the cheapest to build. They're the quickest and cheapest to build. So they'll start to generate money, and it's always advisable to start with those and then move on to the towns and later on the cities. So the main battle is, I think the economy is really looking strong for Orbnet. He's that expansion that he went for, he could hold off Animorph, and we're seeing a big fight here in the center stage again. Perfectly lined artillery here with defense bonus as well. And the problem for Animorph here is that his line is scattered. He's still on point commands, yeah. So it's going to be very difficult for him to advance onto this defense line. And when these entrenchments are dug, they're going to stay there. So the benefit with these is that these new artillery pieces that come in fresh off the production line, they can just roll up, and within 2 minutes these entrenchments remain, so they can just settle down into their positions there and gain that bonus from the pre-dug defense. We've got the artillery capping down here now, and if you got the luxury to spare some artillery down there, maybe it would have been better with some infantry. But there's so many factories being produced right now, or there's so many factories in production, so don't blame them for sending them there. Plus, this defense line's beautifully placed, and but we're seeing significant number from Orbnet as well. Let's have another look at the information here. We've got Orbnet is at 960 total capital income, and Animorph is at 584, so massive difference now. The economy is definitely in Orbnet's favor. He knows how to play with the economy now. And this line, if I predict it, they'll just keep... at some point he'll drop this defense line and then just start pushing into the mountains and starting to eat away of anything that's coming off the production line of Animorph here. I don't think Animorph has been able to spend anything here at all on economy either. So the industries that he had, he's actually got 2 city sites. He's got 3 in his possession, but he doesn't have the economy at all to build any industries, no towns, no cities, no trade routes, no expansion, and he's losing up here in the north now as well. He's getting pushed back by the helicopters, he's getting pushed back by artillery coming, and all of those returned conquerors there are going to go. So this is... he's down for the count now, and he's got his back against the ropes. And Orbnet is swinging around with his cruiser now. He doesn't have any energy problems. Helicopters don't really use that much energy, especially when they're flying, which is a nice bonus. So he's got 1 troop ship on the move, and just this cruiser is going to be able to sneak around and start gaining even more bonus here. So it's a matter of time, and of course Animorph wants to fight into the last moment, but without being able to respond at all to the air. He did ship helicopters up. Smart move, considering he didn't have the economy to build any factories up here to produce SAM. So these helicopters will fire at the enemy helicopters. They got 2 Sidewinders, but the Sidewinders on the helicopters do less damage than the Interceptor Sidewinders, so they're a bit nerfed. It's half the gunpowder charge or something. So, but they will be useful against the artillery. We see the color of this artillery now. It's very stained here. So, but again, it's not going to do much good there. So let's go down to the grand finale here, where we've got a double line of artillery on. This time is disabled the commander here for the defense line. He didn't delete it. Very good move. And skillful use of this one, because if you just disable the receivers, you still have the nice benefit of these entrenchments being dug. So he could delete this command, enable artillery again, and they can just resettle there. Because he doesn't necessarily, I was going to say he doesn't have a full read, but he does, because the accumulated sight now from all of these units is revealing everything that Orbnet is having, and he's committed everything to the mountains here. And they're so close in terms of producers. We've got even a launch pad now coming down from Orbnet. So rather than engaging maybe and pushing through, if it came to it, he would launch this rocket straight into this heart. It'll knock out 1, 2, 3, 4 producers. It'll badly damage this barrack and this factory. All of these units would go, and there would be nothing left by Animorph at all. So meanwhile, we've got a little island here. It doesn't even need any defense anymore. It's totally uncontested. Down here, we don't see any need even to conquer anything. We've got a bunch of helicopters getting sent in now. They're going to get a little bit hit by the SAM, but I think Orbnet is definitely feeling that he can spare. He doesn't have the patience even to wait for his own rocket. The safest play, if he wouldn't have felt confident, would be to stand his ground here, hold the lines, let the rocket finish, drop it right in the center core there, and then just sweep it. But again, I think he's starting to get a read on the cruisers out here. He's noticing that nothing is conquered. He can get a fairly confident read that the economy is going to be suffering big time from Animorph right now. And we've even got a town coming up. We've got some farms here cooking, and he's eliminating Orbnet or Animorph here in the north. So a final stand here. A lot of barrels firing off here, taking out Animorph's artillery. Down conquering in the south here, and it's only seconds to go. We are not going to see any rockets getting launched off this launch pad. Not needed, and it would take too long to build. And we've got in the chat here, D20 Orbnet is going for a flashy finish. Yeah, he's we've seen this through the tournament, the way Orbnet has been playing with his artillery, and I wouldn't necessarily call it a blob, even though it's a lot of them now. It's just, it is a bit of an art on how you actually move them and get them firing on and outnumbering the opponent. So I'd say it's a very tactical move there to be able to operate them. I'm no good at it at all. I'm still losing to it. I'm trying some different tactics against it, but I haven't got enough practice apparently. So, interesting match there as well. It was 25 minutes, very similar start, but more successful for Animorph this time. But Orbnet, even though this was officially not counting, it was still in Orbnet's favor, so he still comes out undefeated. And I do have one more match in store for you guys. So let's load that up. They decided to play one more again. Just for the sake of it. I think it doesn't have any bearing. Orbnet is the winner of the tournament of 22Q2. But let's have a look at their last match as well. And I think they played on the backup seed here. If Animorph would have won the first match, they would have gone to this seed. And this is another spectacular seed. So we're going to see one more match. Woohoo! And check this out, guys. We've got this crazy thing in the west here. This is like a little economy peninsula right here. We've got 1, 2, 3 trade routes, 4, 5, and we've got energy at sea, and then a lot of different quirky land masses. We've got terrain over here in the east. We've got another energy well. This is probably going to be a secondary area to pick. We've got another trade route, and southwest we've got more energy and a big plot of land down here, very significant. So we're seeing them, not surprisingly, again going for a no-pick zone. Both Orbnet and Animorph are reading the maps really well. They're able to spot where it's a probably likely good opportunity to capture and go in different directions and gain an advantage. So very similar picks there. Animorph's view, very similar. And this time we have to keep in mind now that Orbnet is playing blue on this one and Animorph is in red. So a little role reversal there. We've got, let's go to the chat as well. We've got D20 saying, it's weird, in my experience, a dozen tanks can smash the crap out of RT Sandblob. Yeah, I think I've seen the way Basantos plays against RT Blobs. He's very successful, I'd say, with the tanks. I've tried it a few times. I haven't mastered it yet. I'm getting too many artillery on me, and or I'm spending too much money creating my tanks before I send them. I mean, I've succeeded a few times. I've played some matches where I've done a tank rush, but I don't know if that counts. And then switching all my tanks into helicopters instead. That's been very successful because by the time the tanks have done their job and taken out some producers, and then you start producing a lot of helicopters, then they can, the RT Blob is, especially if they're far away from home, they're quite defenseless when it comes to protecting against those helis until the SAM can be produced. But there again, if they're far away from home, that's a bit tricky. So Animorph in red this time, we have to keep in mind, is starting in the south. Let's have a look at the build order. We've got prefabricated, we've got a factory over here, we've got 2 barracks that were prefabricated and a shipyard. He really wants to go over here and gather this eco island. Let's call it that from now on. And then we've got another non-pre-constructed barrack going up here. Meanwhile, Orbnet is going for a double airport. 2 prefabricated double airports. He's got 1 prefabricated factory and another factory being built here. And I have to, let's see, so I don't mix up the players now that they've switched colors. But this time we've got Animorph doing the early aggression and starts to fire with some infantry straight away at this already pre-constructed factory. And he's coming in with more units. And it's coming to the realization now that he needs to defend this factory. He's getting outnumbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think this factory is going to fall. If he can get the weapons on that factory, it's going to fall, which is going to be a problem. And I also see this quite often, that if you feel that there is an opportunity to get your early explorers, usually that's what these are early conquerors. If you can get them onto attacking mode before the opponent gets a chance to respond, it could be quite dangerous. But just as I say that, 2 helicopters launch off the pad. There was 1 artillery that got produced. Orbnet is managing to feed back his infantry down here, and the infantry of Animorph is busy firing at the other infantry. So it looks like that factory is gonna get saved. It's badly damaged, but hey, that doesn't really matter. There'll be a little bit of repair cost to repair it, but rather that than losing it. So we'll see. It would be pure luck if that falls now. No, it was the other guy that fell instead. So he just got the helicopters up in the nick of time, and it's really halted Orbnet's expansion though, which might be a little bit different from Orbnet's perspective. He's usually very good at allocating some infantry, but I think also very experienced to realize the threat that he was under and pull those back. So it's no good to keep expanding if you do lose your core so early on. It could be over before you even get started. Animorph, meanwhile, is doing a lot more. It's very impressive, I'd say, that I think it was the cost of those couple of airports, because Animorph managed to allocate quite a few infantry to conquer, and he's even got this shipyard and shipping a couple of guys across. And we've got a significant choke up here, very defendable. And I think we've got Orbnet, there's got no access from the north up here. So, and Animorph is going to get a good visual on here. Orbnet is not going to be able to produce a shipyard here. So, well, at least not without Animorph knowing about it. So I'm impressed to see that this seemed to have worked pretty good. I'd be worried about the airports here, though, if I was Animorph, because we've got SAM is being produced. He's shipping Sam over potentially. I can't see it. Oh yeah, he is shipping them over. Which is probably wise because he'll need some anti-air up here if Orbnet starts sending helicopters northbound. Here we've got a problem though. Because Animorphs, I think Orbnet he hasn't seen the producers yet. If Animorphs is lucky, Orbnet will take these two out and think, okay, there was nothing else to get to fight against here, so I'll redirect them. Maybe these two producers can actually stay alive because they're not. He doesn't have a read on them yet. The problem is, and I understand that too, because Animorph is gonna with double airport. He needs SAM. And the dilemma is that you need to produce SAM and artillery. The benefit here of Orbnet, because he hasn't seen any air at all, so he can focus on just producing helicopters and artillery. He doesn't need to produce any SAM yet, but he has wisely put at least one on the mountaintop there, and I think he's creating another one there. So he is predicting that he'll see some air units from Animorph. Got helicopters moving in here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and they're gonna prioritize that SAM, especially when it's in the point like this. Plus, you're getting some artillery fire on it as well. But Orbnet is going for that barrack. He's taking that out. He's gonna have the SAM is gonna be having some access to these helicopters and shooting them. Keep in mind as well that the missiles from the SAM are less effective than the Vulcan cannon. So that's when you hear the sound going brrr, that's when the SAMs are doing actually the most damage. I think that might not be known to everyone. Very successful hit and run on that, and that SAM didn't manage to hardly do any damage at all. Orbnet is running out of energy here, and how is he doing for energy? He's producing somewhere. For some reason, I'm not seeing it. Oh, wow, okay. So I've totally even missed this. Orbnet did a cross pick. You probably put that in the chat, and I didn't even see it. So very interesting here. That totally swings everything for me. As I was going on saying that there was a very limited expansion, Orbnet was in fact did a big brain move, did a cross pick here, sacrificing 4 guys, which explains why he was under a lot of threat in the beginning, because he loses. He gets the capital from this one, but he loses the 4 infantry that comes with it. So we've got a very protected energy well here. I don't think that Animorph has got the slightest idea that this is actually under Orbnet's control. Very nicely done, and I totally missed this one. I should pan around a little bit more. We've already got all these pre-planned arrows up here, so he's going to be able to focus this expansion now going north and west, because these units are going to be able to capture up here. And he's going to capture the end there as well. Let's do an economy check. We've got Orbnet is at 524 and Animorph is at 500. So thanks to this expansion over here, it's actually gathering more economy right now for Orbnet. Very interesting. Let's have a look in the northwest here. This capturing is going very slow. We've got a couple of destroyers up here hunting for submarines. They're good for reconning too. I would have probably have gone for missile ships instead, especially with the double airport. There's not going to be a lot of funding right now for Orbnet to have submarines here, and I think those they're going to be targets for those helicopters. Very easy to send them up for Orbnet if he wants to. As soon as he spots those, they'll be pretty defenseless. And the capturing here, very slow. We've got only 1 infantry here, a couple of infantry, and an artillery piece. And again, understandably, because we've had the Animorph has had to really go up here. He's starting to produce a bit of artillery. It's a headache to have these, but he's going to be outnumbering these. But here are the helicopters. Let's see if he spots the SAM. Yes, I think we should see a move command now from Animorph. Go back. No, he's still on engage. Ooh, those helicopters, those Hellfire missiles are really taking out every single infantry there. Not a single one's going to survive. There's the last one. But also, this is a pretty good trade for Animorphs. I don't think maybe Orbnet's attention was somewhere else, because he's seeing a few helicopters go down, but most of them survive, and they'll head back to the airport for repairs now. So plenty of slots to land here, and all of these are going to be repaired. And we've gotten some artillery here, so still a problem for Animorph. This artillery is more of a problem right now than the than the helicopters, because he's got no defense against it. Animorph is shipping some artillery here for backup, but this is a tough situation to be in. You have to redirect your units back here, and maybe Animorph or maybe Orbnet would just shift his focus and go here. So it's a bit of a dilemma. And very slow capturing now. Down here, Orbnet is fully done with this region. I wouldn't be surprised. The last few territories here is even joining up here in the north. This artillery, again, beautiful artillery move here by Orbnet. He really knows how to play these pieces. He's put them on a move command. You don't want to entrench them, you don't want to waste the fatigue. And they're really doing a great job here. They're just firing. And he's not shipping anything else down right now. Very smart move. Helicopters up here sparkling. Then when they're acting like sparklers like this, it's because they're repaired. They're not getting more damage or anything. There we go. That one's fully repaired. And this artillery is shooting. Nice by Animorph to actually bring his artillery in and get them deployed. So he's got the high ground there. And he's got another factory. So he might just be able to save this. I think the dilemma is that he's got to produce a lot of SAM still. He would have loved to be able to just pump out more artillery to face this and maybe even dig them down here. But those helicopters, they're a real pain. Got some helicopters on his own now. Animorph is producing, and he doesn't know that there's... oh well, let's see. Animorph does know that there's SAM there. It's only 2 of them, not a major disaster. Capturing, I think the economy again is going to be problematic for Animorph. He's at 680, whereas Orbnet is at 716, so fairly similar. Let's have a look at this helicopter attack. Orbnet is going for a haste move, target command. He wants to start to get rid of these factories now. And let's see, he's going to get some SAM fire here, but the helicopters are going to take that out very quickly. They're fully loaded, got loads of Hellfires. And there they go, they return. He lost 1 helicopter. He's gonna maybe lose another one. There's a missile. No, oh, a little side SAM. Side shows SAM there firing, but he only lost 1 helicopter in that exchange. I do this sometime, and a bit of a panic move. I get told off by Santos for doing it. When I lose something, sometimes I build a producer in the same spot. Maybe to show something that, hey, that didn't hurt me, but then you risk losing that straight away. But it looks like Animorph is managing to hold off those artillery there. And let's have a look what's going on, what's cooking. Got a couple of factories, and we've got a couple of factories here, some barracks. We are not seeing any more C-unit production here, so those destroyers, and there's not much else to conquer here either. So those submarine hunters, they're not gonna be that much needed, to be honest. Oh, I'm missing another helicopter rush here. And again, they're returning for some repairs, plus he's producing new ones. He's getting really good leverage with these helicopters. He's got 3 smoking SAMs here. Some more SAM. He's resupplying south of this little lake here. And how many producers have we got? Considering Orbnet has got fewer producers, he's got 4 factories and he's not producing any infantry here, which could start to become a bit of a problem, because they can act pretty good as cannon fodder and draw the attention of the artillery. If you've reached the critical mass of artillery, it's not so much of a problem, but if you're sort of evenly matched, then you can mix in, you blend it out with some infantry like we're seeing here. That artillery is going to fire on the infantry, where these can deploy and start firing at these 2. So it's a pretty good move to do that. But these helicopters are a real pain for Animorph. I don't think he knows exactly how to deal with it. And I understand that they're coming in, just unloading, unleashing everything that they've got. But the SAM is doing good now, because the helicopters got a little bit diverted there, going for the infantry. So they took some damage. They're going to have to go back for repairs. And when they go for repairs, it'll take time. They don't cost anything to repair. It's only structures that cost money to repair, but they will stay grounded, so it's a penalty in that sense. And this capturing of the Northwest Island is painfully slow for Animorph, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see, yeah, Orbnet is closing in on it now. He's going to have quite a few. Oh, he's got another barrack going up here. These are starting to join the fight. He's nearly done conquering over here. This will take some time. It's going to push through the forest over the mountain range, and we're going to see some economy buildings coming up. Orbnet has produced 3 industries here. They're again, like we said before, they're pretty good to build when you can afford them, because they'll start generating capital. Got another helicopter attack here. Relentless with the helicopters, and they're homing in on that those 2 SAMs. He's lost all SAM protection there now. Helicopters sweeping in. I love that move. It's just strafing around, firing from all angles now. That cannon is doing massive damage, and Orbnet is losing energy. We've got some puffing helicopters, but hey, that was a very successful raid by those helicopters. So we're back to the dilemma. How should you do with your SAM now? We've got another, it's a factory coming up here. So we're going to see some more SAM production, and we're seeing the artillery growing. And slowly we've got the advancement of the dreaded Orbnet artillery front. And Animorph has learned enough about this now. He starts to retreat. You don't really want to face off with that, especially with the tactical movement skills that Orbnet has got. Let's do another look at the economy. Animorph is at 884 and Orbnet is at 974. So we're starting to see everything is paying off now. The capturing is starting to get done. Those 3 industries are starting to pay off. We've got some patrolling going on here, and this is all conquered. Sometimes it could be good to disband a few units, but also it's good for scouting purpose to keep them. So I'd say at this point there's no reason to get rid of them. A lot of helicopters there. Saving that factory, avoiding that early push that Animorph did, and start being able to resupply with the helicopters. And I know for a fact that Orbnet is really favoring those helicopters. He's counting artillery and helicopters as the 2 most important units in the game at this point, if I remember correctly. I may be wrong. Okay, interesting to see now. We've got a couple of SAMs only. Those helicopters are sweeping in again, cleaning out that little hillside. And they're switching their focus now to the SAM. They're getting in range. Got another couple of SAM coming along the beach. But damage is done. We've got another set of artillery moving in. And it's going to be another problem. I have to say, I'm very impressed by how Orbnet is managing his decisions right here. And we've seen it again and again in this tournament. We're seeing how the artillery is positioned, how he's backing it up. He's got some SAM prepared now, so even with the Animorph coming in with some helicopters, both of those are smoking now. In fact, one just got shot down to pieces, decorating the bottom of that pond there now. So we'll see some coral reefs growing there soon, I think. And Orbnet is closing in on the North Passage now. He's also... okay, he comes well prepared. A factory's gone up to start producing artillery. That's going to be useful to push in this choke. Even if Animorph is coming with some sea units now, it's going to be a problem, because the artillery here is going to be able to shoot out into the sea. And he knows, Orbnet knows that Animorph is controlling the sea at the moment, because he can see the energy well and also the refinery, I should say. And that is, Animorph is controlling these. Very successful push here. The relentless attacking with the helicopters and pushing with the artillery is paying off. He's cleared the mountainside there now. Sam is moving in to get rid of... There's another helicopter to join the first one. And this artillery is just shooting across this mountain range now, and then landing some heavy impacts. These factories are going to go, all of them. There's the first one, shifting their focus to the second one. And the dilemma here at Animorph needs to keep producing SAM for the helicopter pushes, and he cannot deal with both. So he's realized that this is a lost front now. Moving his SAM back, and it's going to be gradually handed over the control now in this south. So the campaign was successful there for a moment. And here we go. Massive helicopter push. He's got the energy to back it up this time. It's got 48 stored energy. Economy is booming. He's rushing before those SAMs are coming. He's going for the target. He's hasting with the target command right onto that factory. He's going to take it out in no time. And just before those SAM, they're going to fire 1, 2, and 3 missiles. 1 helicopter lost. Very good trade. Very nice opportunity there. He spotted that. And it was, again, beautifully done with the helicopters without hardly losing. And this is with Animorph. He's no slouch when it comes to being able to produce units and counter these things, because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SAMs. He's got 2 here that are escaping into the mountains. So just being able to operate these helicopters and find where they can strike. Now we're seeing another one. The dilemma here is we've got how should he'll spread out the SAMs now. So we've got a couple of point commands behind this line here, regrouping. A lot of factories coming up here now to push back. And he's finally now 20 minutes into the game. He's managed to capture this North Island with 3 infantry and 1 artillery. And just as I say that, Orbnet is joining this. He's pushing through the choke. It was very important that Animorph got control of this and closed the choke before this happened. This is a disaster, because these 2 factories here, I don't know, well, they might be able to start to produce a few things. Very clever not to engage straight away, but how is he going to respond to this? He'll have to emergency ship some helicopters across here. A move command right here from this area across the pond here, or across the bay. Get some helicopters ASAP now. It's going to be very crucial to get them, but they're not going to be enough. He's not going to have enough of them. And he's finally done capturing all of this. But as we say that, Orbnet is pushing down his artillery, gaining control here, pushing with artillery. And where are the tanks? Well, tanks would find it very difficult to operate in this terrain, because how should they, from either player, it'd be very difficult to push through. And with the helicopters, even if you got a few tanks pushed through, where should you send them? They'll be chased down by the helicopters. Okay, we've got another target here, and we've got Orbnet. He's sending his Wasp full of helicopters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 helicopters on a target command. We're going to see this refinery is going to get shut down. Orbnet is pushing in the north, and he's these factories, again, too late. They're gone before they even got constructed, and before they even managed to produce a single unit. These infantry are going to swarm it. We've got some artillery joining in. Helicopters, they can easily be moved up here. He's got no problems, Orbnet, with the energy anymore. And he's got some energy spells, energy to spare. He's got 1, 2 wells, 3 wells, 4 wells. This one's a little bit exposed. And energy is not going to be a problem. A shipyard has come up, so he's managing to repurpose these infantry as well. And we're 24 minutes into the game. There we go. Both factories are gone, and all the units were gone. So a very similar fate in this game like the other ones. And we're seeing that common now. We're seeing a battle between the starting positions, and we're seeing the expansion. And I'd say the early expansion from Animorph was good. He managed to spare quite a few units, and I totally missed the fact that there was a cross pick here. So this region here, very safe, little utopia here. It's not seen a single bullet flying in this area here at all. But it's still pumping out some infantry there. What am I looking there for? Nothing's happening there. Meanwhile, helicopters sweeping in, cleaning out those SAMs. And it's going to switch maybe a couple of SAMs here, but there's not enough of them. We've got only 2 SAMs remain and 10 helicopters. And they're going to do wonders against the artillery here too. 2 fronts opening up here again. Animorph is having to defend left and right, or top and bottom. He's gonna outnumber the artillery here, but these helicopters are going to be too problematic. Here's actually that sub-pen coming up, but by then I think any destroyers are gone. Well, they're out here capturing somewhere, so they're not going to be able to help, and not that it's needed. It's too late. Very interesting match. It was fun to see everything that was going on in this area, and that early push by Animorph, it nearly succeeded. I think the hit points on this factory here, it wasn't that many left, but he didn't manage to get it out. The helicopters took off, and I think even if he would have taken the factory out, he would have had to take maybe one airport out too, because otherwise those infantry would have died off. Helicopters would start to take off, and the dilemma would have been there anyway. So I think it could have been problematic regardless. And we're reaching the end of the match here. And see how quickly Orbnet is just conquering this north territory. Let's do one final check just for laughs. 1,555 for Orbnet, and we've got 1013, so 50% additional economy, and it was just going to grow from there. We saw not many coal buildings going up here. Animorph had one town, whereas Orbnet, did he keep building? He had a town. Oh, a rocket nearly finished there. He's got even a town and a port, some more energy going up. He was conquering here. He was shifting troops over here. Very nicely managed. I always laugh a little bit when I see some of the earlier matches that Orbnet played, because he seems to be really favoring these single paths. And in my experience, double paths seem to be a little bit less congested, but I cannot criticize anything because he obviously knows how to play. So they seem to be very successful. Maybe it's good to draw them a little bit parallel like this, and they'll swap a little bit unpredictably. So another great match. This one was a lot of fun to watch and very interesting to see how it played out. It could have gone Animorph's way in the early game there, and the window gradually closed. Shutters came down and the rocket came up, and it wasn't even needed to be used in this game either. But entertaining. Thanks a lot for that match, and thanks for providing 2 additional matches for us to enjoy as well. So congratulations to Orbnet, the winner of the first official Line War tournament, 22 Q2, and we're going to have another tournament coming up in about 3 months from now. And it's also a huge congratulations to Animorph. I think you did great as well, reaching all the way to the final. And you put up, especially in these bonus matches now, you put up a great fight against Orbnet. But even without those, I think you've done an excellent job in the tournament. So to both players and for everyone who's played in this whole tournament, thank you very much. It's been highly entertaining, and I'm looking forward to looking at the other matches too. So with that said, I'll see you guys in the Discord, and we're going to be handing out those keys and also the roles through tomorrow, which is a Wednesday on the 23rd, or that's today. It's already past midnight here. So GG, and thanks to those of you who are watching, and thanks to all of you who are coming in to watch this one after it aired. I think that will be most of you. This is going to be updated now on the scores on the tournament site, and congratulate these guys and all the people that played in the tournament in the Discord. It's well deserved, so pat on everyone's back, and thanks a lot for watching, guys. And thanks also to Michael, who's been helping us a lot with the commentary. Michael Frost is doing, he took a big commentary session before, and to Basantos as well for jumping in. And for everyone else who's helped us with the tournament and relaying the information. I think it worked pretty good with the tournament site and everything like that. So, thanks again, everyone, and I'm going to end the stream there. And I'll see you soon again, and I'll play you some Line War as well. Give me a challenge. I'm going to be on vacation for a while, so challenge me. I'm up for it. Take care, and bye for now.